Hello, it's Delia. Thanks for clicking on. So, there's a lot of things that are going on right now behind the scenes. So today is September 27th, 2025. And it's always true that there's a lot going on that's unknown or behind the scenes or hidden or kept private. It can be all kinds of things, really. Um, but it's especially true now, and it has been escalating and it's going to continue to escalate. There's a lot of things that are being hidden by people with ill will intent, um, even though they're calling themselves Christians or the light or whatever. And it's just especially true now in going forward. But this is also a time when um, I mean, picture all of these secrets that are being um, stashed away, right? Just put it behind, right? As though you're putting everything, as somebody is putting everything under the rug. Well, eventually it's going to be too big for people to not trip over it. And in the case of what's going on right now, um, there's something that gets not given, it's not included enough, which is that there's a lot of cosmic changes that are going on and evolutionary changes, particularly around consciousness raising. Um, so, as the consciousness of so many people one by one rises, right, then those that want to control by domination and oppression are holding on tighter and tighter like white knuckles. But their secrets are so many and so heinous in so many ways, in so many areas, that it's building and building and building. So part of what you may be noticing, especially if you're empathic or sensitive, um, or you've been doing, some kind of psychic work for some time, um, the intensity of hiding is getting so much more. It's just building and building, and it is going to. The dam is going to break. There's no saying when, because the future isn't written. We're all collectively currently writing the future, and that's one of the reasons why there are people who don't want you to think about a future, or forget there is a future, or agree that the future is just an extrapolation of the past. It's nothing new, none of which are true. So there's more and more force building up that is going to break the dam of what's been going on and what's been hidden. So whether it's the such and such files, or the investigation into this other thing, or whatever it is, that there's all this withholding that's going on, and this oppression and all this gaslighting. Oh, there's nothing there, there's no there. All of that's that dam is going to burst, and it's going to be collectively by our requirement. We require that the lies come out. We require that things not continue in this oppression spiral. And this is one of the great things about nature, is that there's nothing about what's currently going on that's sustainable, because it's all about oppression and what I call control with a K, because it's domination. it's kind of control of the KKK these days. And that oppression can't withstand itself. Not to mention the players that are so invested in making sure they get their own and are able to dominate and tell everybody else what to do. They're not team players. And they, the fact that they, are happy to throw each other under the bus is to our advantage, because as the ragtag resistance, it's great to see the ways that the evil empire, like in the Star Wars thing, right, undo themselves out of their own greed, right? And because suppression and oppression are not sustainable, they're just under no circumstances is that a sustainable model. So if you have a difficult time imagining a future other than the very grim doom and gloom that is being broadcasted, whether it's visual or not, it's certainly the energy that's being transmitted out into the world. If you find yourself having a hard time perceiving a future, looking at a future that has anything good in it, then just imagine that you're stuck on a channel, a TV channel that has horrible shows. And like when the History Channel was nothing but the bad side of World War II, right? So if you're finding yourself not able to perceive of a good future, or a future that sounds loving or community-based or friendly or exciting or innovative or fun, just be aware that your thinking is kind of stuck in a groove, this particular programming that's going on. And if you resist it, it makes it harder to change the channel, so to speak. And so you can just notice, and then you can do something different. For instance, which is, by the way, the ultimate shortcut in everything is in healing, is do it different, whatever it is. If you're always talking, listen more. If you're always listening, speak up more. Whatever it is, do it different. Always helps. So there's lots of information or entertainment even out there that can support you in changing the channel. So there's a really cool movie with George Clooney called Tomorrowland, which may seem like a silly movie, but it's all about the promise that so many of us grew up with, the promise of tomorrow and all sorts of possibilities. And it's kind of geared for the dreamers, like John Lennon's Imagine, where you may call me a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. And it talks about, the movie talks about this programming of nihilism and destruction. And destruction is entertainment, which we've certainly seen in movies and TV in the past 25 years. So Tomorrowland is a great movie. Hugh Laurie's in it. Anything that will kind of wake you up from a doom and gloom sense of the future. Because the truth is that the future has not been written. It's not written in stone. And you're creating the future. And you may feel like, well, I can create a good future for me, but what about everybody else and everything else? And the thing is that the more individuals are creating a lovely future, it's going to include other people. It's going to include community and cooperation and adventure and exploration and, whatever your adjectives are. And so the more each of us has a clear sense of a future that we want to have on the planet, a future where we want to live, then the more we're going to bring that into our bodies and also how we operate today. So we're not waiting for tomorrow or next year. Where can we find joy today, find beauty today? Where can we enjoy life today? Because the more we're embodying, which is more than just thinking about it, the more we're embodying joy and love and a wonderful place to live, a wonderful life, the more that's coming into being, the more it's more, it's a process. So the more it becomes more real and possible for you personally, then the more it becomes more real and possible for others. So you can think about it as a transmission, and also you're transmitting that vibe, that possibility, and you're dwelling in it, you're embodying it, so you're anchoring it into the physical world. And because you're anchoring it yourself, it's becoming more possible for other people to even think about it. Because right now, people have a really hard time of even thinking about something good, which is kind of by design. And so the more you're able to do whatever energetic practices you have, or maybe you don't have any, but you want things to be different, then a really great way to have things being different is to embody the kind of world you want to live in. And to whatever degree, and even if it's only for 5 minutes a day, it all helps. And it's all helping to raise the volume on that possibility, to make it more real. Now, I don't do a lot of news and information of that kind very much anymore. So I'm not fully on board with what the latest stuff is. Not that I don't know what's going on. It's just that I don't listen to much anymore. But some months ago, I used to hear a lot about don't give away your joy. Don't surrender your rights before they're taken, right? And one of those is, I agree. Don't surrender your joy, and don't surrender your sense of possibility, and don't surrender your sense of what's possible for the future. Even if what's possible for the future in your mind's eye isn't reflected on the news, because, bless all the well-intended people that are trying to issue out information, good information. Pretty much nothing about the airways are not embattled, right? So you might not be able to find a future of any appeal from any of the streaming and news and all of that stuff. But you can find your joy if you look for it. And then once you find any piece of it, you nurture it every day. And that means you spend some period of time, even 90 seconds to an hour, or more, being in the vibe of what you want the world to be like. And then you don't need to make an an analytical plan about how it can happen. In fact, at this moment, there are so many fronts to this situation that, everybody needs to be showing up to the front that's in front of them. And some people do have jobs in law offices. Some people do work on the Hill. Some people have political jobs, but more of us don't, right? The government in all of its forms is the biggest employer in the US, but there are more of us that don't work for the government. And so you may not have an obvious interface with what to do about all of this today. But I've said before, there's things like the 5 postcards a day or 5 calls a day. I guess that's 5 calls a day. And there's any number of approaches. And the important thing is that you find the approach that works for you. So for some people, that will be a very confrontational thing, and for some people, it won't be. For some people, it's very helpful to the efforts to, bake tasty things and give them out to your friends and family. There's no thing too small to contribute to the world you want to live in. And there's no contribution too private to not be contributing to I said that wrong, but to your contribution nobody has to know about it. But if you understand that you matter, no matter what, that you matter even in a world that says that you don't, and that your behavior, your thoughts, feelings, emotions, behavior matter. And it makes a big difference to the whole, to the collective. So, watch what you eat, right? That's a normal thing that is not hard to do. I mean, it might be challenging to do, but it's a familiar concept. And I would add to that, watch what you listen to. And how much time are you spending listening to things that you can't do anything about, to things that make you upset? Because, I had the awakening some time ago that my stomach acid and my lack of sleep, because I'm agitated, doesn't help anything. Nothing. But my joy, my enjoying things, my appreciation of things, my doing the artistic things that I love to do, not for money, but because I love spending my time at them. These things make a big difference, not only to me, but then I'm not contributing to the agitation. I'm living, I'm dwelling, I'm embodying a more peaceful generation, generating peace, right? And art and love and joy and community and possibilities. So the more we can do that, the better. It matters. Remember, energy doesn't die, it just changes form. And matter is atoms moving slower than other things. Matter is atoms and cells, and they have an energetic charge. They have a consciousness. So that's what matter is. And you, all of you, everything that goes into being you, which is much more than just a brain, you matter. And even if you were raised to not believe that, and even if you wish it were true, or maybe you know it's true, but particularly for anybody who's had any kind of a background that makes you doubt that you matter, you really do matter. And you see that by how you operate, what you embody. And, you can look for every day, look for something to be happy about, look for something to receive, look for a gift from the universe. And back in the days when I would listen to the radio, songs would come on the radio and they were like a gift from the universe for me, that they changed my mood or they reminded me of something wonderful. So there's, watch what you eat, watch what you listen to, and watch what you look at. For anybody who remembers 9/11, that was the first time me and everybody else were collectively watching the same scenes over and over again for like a week or more, traumatized and then re-traumatized and then re-traumatized. That traumatized groove was just so ingrained. And that's when I started becoming aware, this can't be good. And I need to watch what I'm looking at. I need to watch what my eyes are seeing. And then, since then, there's so many shows that are about murder and death and autopsies and killing for joy, killing for righteousness. Usually the most common description is, oh, but it's written so well. But these shows are broadcasting PTSD. They're broadcasting uneasiness at best, and trauma more likely. So be aware of, be aware of what you're watching and what you're listening to and what you're eating and what you're saying, the stuff that comes out of your mouth and the stuff that stays in your head. Just be aware of, I wonder if that's a really helpful point of view. Is that a really helpful thing to say in this moment? There's a campaign for people to watch what they said on Facebook in the past. Well, just be curious. Is what I'm saying to myself actually kindness? Is it generative? Is it contributing to anything? Because berating yourself, shaming yourself, picking on yourself, all of those things that so many of us learned growing up, they've never helped. They've never helped. And so, as we're dismantling the hierarchy and the domination, oppression machine outside of us, we can also be dismantling it in our brains and what we say to ourselves, and start to be more kind and considerate and more on your own side, which makes a huge difference in the world. Think about when you go to any kind of a place of business and the person who you're interacting with there hates their job. And then think about when you have an interaction with somebody at a place of work that they love being at. It changes the experience completely. So energy and consciousness, it's not that far-fetched, and it's not that out of your everyday life. It's absolutely all over everybody's everyday life. So you matter, and how you think about the future matters a great deal. And instead of being realistic, because realistic is really pessimism with societal a stamp of approval, just think about the small things that make sense to you. Maybe you like wildflowers. Maybe you can think about a world with wildflowers. Maybe you like sustainable, what do you call it? Maybe you like solar panels and clean water, and maybe the idea of fish living in those clean waters, repopulating. And try to not think so much about the problems, but what's on the other side. The other side is the air and the water are clean. The There's more greenery, there's more wildlife, there's more wild areas. The planet is healthy and thriving, and there's less extinction going on, and humans have practices that actually validate the other life forms on the planet. They just build from what matters to you and build up from that. What would be really great? And let your higher self be involved in the behind the scenes part of changing the culture. Do the things that make sense to you to do, whether it's writing postcards or making phone calls or showing up with other people, but also dream, dream a better world into being, like Martin Luther King. What matters to you matters. So I hope that's helpful. And tell me what you think in the comments. See you next time.